Well, hello. This is my 1995 Buick Park Avenue. I just wanted to film a little bit of an update video on it since last time you saw it. I've done some work to it since then. So first thing I did was well, not first, but the first thing I'm going to point out to you is that I fixed the front bumper. There used to be a big hole in it right under that driver's side headlight. I also fixed the paint up better. It used to be rougher. Looks better now. Overall, it's actually a pretty good looking car now. I mean, it's not perfect. Is it, 29-year-old vehicle. Costs $700. But I would say it's a good 8 out of 10. My judgment, condition-wise, at least the exterior. You can see this trim here, that used to be broken. I replaced it. Nice new trim. Get the side angle here. Something I did was I stripped all the old clear coat off the wheels, which was just ruined. And now they're just bare aluminum, which looks much better. I could re-clear them, but I can't be bothered. I'm fine just polishing out the bare aluminum. One thing I haven't been able to fix is this rear bumper here. This is still, unfortunately, I haven't been able to source a replacement, and that's not really something I can fix on my own. So for now, I just drilled some holes in it and put some zip ties in there so it's less obvious. Before there was like a big hole in it, but it's still not perfect. Here, just gonna put my antenna down for this video, but I guess I forgot to. Hey, who needs power antennas anyways? Yeah. So you got me the new green license plate. Apparently this came out recently. I don't think I've seen another car with it besides my car and my buddy's Park Avenue. But I think it looks pretty good. His car's green, so it looks better on his car, but his car just looks better in general because it's green, and mine is white, which is not my favorite color, but I will say it has grown on me in the time that I've owned this car. But it's still not my favorite. But beggars can't be choosers. There you go, there's another side angle. Those wheels look good now. But yeah, so I have some another thing I still need to do to it is I have some new suspension parts. Shocks all around, front strut mounts, rear strut mounts. Those are pretty bad on this car. It rides okay, but it's not great. So I have those parts, I just have yet to install them. I also probably need to install some rear spring lifts because it's sitting a little bit low back there. But overall, I mean, for $700, I'm pretty happy with the car. I mean, it still needs some work. It doesn't run quite right yet. I have done quite a lot of engine work to it, which I'll show you guys, I guess. I would show you the interior, but it's not particularly clean right now. I guess I can give you guys a quick look. So yeah, I did put new seats in it. Ignore the filthy carpet. I have yet to shampoo this. Yeah, I put these new seats in it. I got them out from the junkyard out of a 92 Park Avenue. They're in very nice shape. And they have the manual recline, which I like. The headliner, I did fix it in the back. But it's actually, and I also got replacement sail panel covers from a junkyard car, and it looks pretty good now actually. So I did replace the upper dash pad, which used to be cracked, so that's all good now. The car now has 137,000 miles on it. Also, all of my windows work now, which I will demonstrate. Wow, isn't that amazing? Look at that, guys. The technology we have in the modern era truly is amazing. But yeah, so my air conditioning controller died multiple times. There's a specific chip on the little board that just likes to fall off. I guess the board just gets old and it cracks. The first one I just replaced, but my second one I got my friend to sort of resolder it back together, and hopefully it holds. It works fine now. I'd prefer if this car just had the manual climate controls, but you know, what can you do? Well, I know what I can do. At some point I actually intend on swapping this car to the manual climate controls, but for now this will suffice. Alright, got the old hood stick out. Yeah, one of the things I do need to fix on this car is it needs a new hood strut on the driver's side. But yeah, it's not really that important. But yeah, I've done quite a bit of work to this. So new gaskets for everything, lower intake manifold gaskets, new upper intake manifold gaskets, new valve cover gaskets, new water pump gasket, new timing cover gasket. I still need to install a new oil pan gasket and transmission pan gasket, which I will do because they both leak. New spark plugs, new spark plug wires, new fuel injectors, coils are out of a different car, replace the coolant, oil change obviously. Yeah, I've done more to it than I would have wanted to, but you know, I don't mind doing maintenance to my vehicle if it needs it. So it needed it, and here we are. Now it has it. I do need to get new battery at some point. This one isn't particularly good, but you know, it still works. One thing I did do is was pretty in depth, is I actually pulled the entire engine out of this car, and I did a thorough cleaning to it because it used to just be absolutely caked in sludge. You can see, I don't know if you guys remember in my last video how filthy the engine was, but it's pretty good now. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's much better. But yeah, I pulled the whole motor out of the car and cleaned everything. I did that because I was doing the head gaskets, which is something I mentioned I hadn't done. The coolant hadn't been changing this car for so long. This is a 95, so it's the first year for Dex Cool. And I'm sure anybody who's into old GM cars probably knows the issues associated with that. But the coolant ports on the head gasket were just completely blocked. So I had to pull the heads off and clean everything out in there, and I ended up just replacing the head gaskets because, I mean, I guess I could have reused the old ones, but I mean, they're not that expensive, so I just got new ones. And that 4T60E still works too. A lot of people give that transmission, a lot of people like to talk crap about it, but I actually think it's fine. The thing is, a lot of people don't take care of it. They don't change the fluid, they don't change the filter. And then at like 150,000 miles, they're like, oh wow, my transmission doesn't shift anymore. Who would have thought, you know? I guess it's the fault of the transmission, not my neglecting to do any maintenance. Just with these overdrive transmissions, they're just picky about that. Like, or I should say early overdrive transmissions. They're just picky about that, like the Ford AOD, you know, the AXOD and the Taurus, AODE, 4R70W, the 4T60E, 440T4, although that transmission actually is just a pile of crap. But the 4L60 too. They're just picky about that for some reason. If you don't stay on top of the fluid change and filter change, they will cause you problems. But if you do stay on top of that, they actually can last quite a long time. I've seen them with over 200,000 miles many times before on a non-rebuilt transmission. So take it for a quick drive around, I guess, and then that'll be that. All right, let's take it for a quick drive. Not really much has changed about the driving experience since I last showed it to you guys. I still have to do the suspension work and all that. You can hear the strut mounts creaking. But, I'm trying to think if there's anything really... Oh, it does, it has developed a bit of an exhaust manifold leak, so it is somewhat louder than it used to be, although it's still not at all what I would consider offensively loud, or really loud even. But and I don't know if you guys can hear that in the video, but it's pretty still a very, very quiet car. Yeah, one thing I will say that hasn't been really documented online or anywhere really is something I did notice is that these 95s have a slower steering ratio than 96 and later Park Avenues. My friend has a 1996, and it has, as far as I know, the original steering rack, and so does this car. And the steering in his car, and his car isn't a Grand Touring model or anything, and as far as I know, it doesn't have the optional magnetic steering. But his car, the steering is significantly faster than this car. And it's not that this car is slop in it, because it doesn't. There's no slop. I mean, you turn just a little bit and it goes. Just the ratio is kind of slow. I think it's like 19-1. For comparison, like most older cars, except unless it's like a 70s Ford, has like a 17-1 steering ratio, somewhere in that zip code. And like my Mercury, I think, is a 17-1, although that's a rack and pinion, so it's a little different. But this car is just, and this is also a rack and pinion, but this car, the steering is just not as fast as I would prefer it to be. It's not bad at all. I mean, it's still better than like an old recirculating ball full-size Ford. Although I will say, in tip-top condition, like a recirculating ball Panther, like a 80s, 90s model, those actually steer pretty well, I would say, if they're in perfect condition. They do like to eat like idler arms and pitman arms, though, and they also eat steering gearboxes. So they tend to develop on-center slop pretty early on, but if they're in good shape, they're actually pretty pleasant. I would say better than the steering in this car, actually, even though it's rack and pinion. The main thing I like about the rack and pinion steering versus recirculating ball is just that there's less moving parts, so they just don't really develop on-center slop. Like this car has the original steering rack, and it doesn't really have any slop in it. And same can be said for my Mercury Grand Marquis, which is a 2007, so it has the rack and pinion steering. But yeah. Oh, check that out. Check that out. Look at that nice green Grand Marquis. It's like a 96. That's like my ideal Grand Marquis right there. Like a late Aero 95 to 97 and dark green with a green interior. As you guys go, just a video showing current status of my lovely 1995 Buick Park Avenue. These are just great cars. I mean, I can totally recommend them to anybody who's thinking about getting one. I mean, they're just, I can't really complain about anything. I mean, I guess the handling isn't very good, but I mean, still fine. But I mean, they're just great cars. They're reliable, they're easy to work on, they're pretty well built. They look great, at least in my opinion. I love the styling on these cars. They're extremely comfortable. I mean, the seats in this car, holy crap, man. I mean, they are just, like, Ford seats are nice. Like, the seats in my Marquis are pretty nice. And the seats in, like, the 90s ones are nice, too, but they're not as good as these seats. Really, the only Ford car I've sat in that has seats this comfortable would be, like, a 90 to 94 Lincoln Town Car Cartier. And even those are, like, not even that much better than this. Like, these seats are just supremely comfortable. But yeah, these are just great cars. But yeah, there you guys have it. Thanks for watching.